Hey, and welcome to another video. In this video, we are going to be doing the prep work for the upgrade system. That let's get started. So before we get started with the prep work, we're first going to correct the mistakes from the previous video with the spawning. So what we need to do is in the workshop active blueprint, what we're going to do is by the components, we're going to click add, and then we're going to look for a scene component, and then we're going to call this spawn location, and then we're going to drag this in. So control, drag it in, and then replace the default scene root with the spawn location, and then remove this, and then that should now hopefully fix the problem. We're going to test it out later on to see. And then also we also need to do this for the main menu. So we're going to go content, maps, main menu, and then we open up the active blueprint because we did the same thing over here. So in the components, add a scene component, call this spawn location, control, drag it in, replace it with the default scene root, then remove that from the code, and then we're going to compile, save, and then save this one, and then that should hopefully fix the problem. We'll come test that out later. And then now we're going to get started with the prep work for the upgrade system. So we're going to go content, blueprints, blueprint structure, and then in here, right click, then blueprint structure, and then this is going to be BPS distance, and then we're going to open it up. And then the first one is going to be stage 1, then we're going to add another one, rename this to stage 2, then add another one, and then this one is going to be stage 3, and then that's it. Save, close it, and we're going to add another one. So yet again in the folder, right click, blueprint structure, and then this is going to be BPS underscore crankshaft, and then let's make the other ones as well. Right click, blueprint structure, BPS tires, another one, BPS brakes, and then the final one is going to be for the boost, so BPS underscore boost, and then we're going to do the same thing, open them up, just dot them to the top, and then each one is going to have a stage 1, 2, and 3. And then now with the blueprint structure is completed, we are going to right click again in the same folder. Actually, it's called the blueprints folder. It's fine, we'll do it in the same folder. And then in the same folder, we're going to right click, blueprint class, and then we're going to look for a primary data asset, and then we're going to call this PDA underscore upgrade cost, and then we're going to open it up, and then we're going to create a couple of variables. So the first variable is going to be piston S1, and then it needs to be of type integer, and then the next one is going to be pistons S2, also of type integer, and then just select it, control D, and then stage 3, also of type integer, control D again, and then the next one is the crankshaft. I'm just going to call this crank, control D, S2, control D again, S3, control D again, and then the next one is the tires, S1, control D, S2, control D, S3, control D again, and then the next one is the brakes, so brakes S1, control D, brakes S2, control D, and then brakes S3, and then we're going to control D again, and then we're going to add the tier multipliers, so we're going to call this tier 1, and then you can either leave it as an integer, but if you're going to add a point value like a 1.5, then you make it a float. If it's going to be a whole number, it's fine, you can leave it an integer, but if you're going to use something like a 1.5, 1 point something, or 2 point something, then you need to make it as a float value. I'm going to make mine a float value, and then you're going to duplicate this again for tier 2, then I'm going to save this, and then for tier 1 cars, I'm going to leave it as 1, and then for tier 2 cars, I'll make it something like 2.5, then I'm going to compile, save, and then close it, and then we're going to right click again, and then look for a data asset. Sorry, wrong place. In the top search, look for data asset, and then we're going to look for the PDA upgrade costs. Select that, and there's going to be DA underscore upgrade costs. And then we're going to open this up. And then now, since we changed it in the PDA, this already has a default value. So we're going to set these ones, I'm thinking maybe 5, 10, 15, make this 2, 4, and 6. And then this one will make it 7, 14, 21. And then this one will make it 6, 12, and 18. So those are going to be the values. Save this. Hey, this is a post-recorded insert. In the video, I forgot to add the values for the boost in the upgrade cost. So the brakes, just going to control D, and then rename this to boost S1, control D, boost S2, control D again, and then boost S3. Compile, save, close that. And the DA upgrade cost, and then we're going to set this also to a default value. We'll go with 3, 6, and 9. Now compile, save, and then that will be it. And then back to the video, close it, and then next we are going over to the game instance. So in the PBGI game, open this up, and then we need to add the variable over here. So add a new variable. This is going to be PDA upgrade costs of type PDA upgrade cost, object reference, compile, and then we set this to the DA upgrade cost, and then compile and save. And then the final thing we're going to do is make the adjustments to the blueprint structure. So open up the folder, and then we're going to go for the BPS vehicles, and then in here we need to add the new blueprint structures. So we're going to add a new variable, and then we're going to rename this to BPS pistons, and then this is going to be of type BPS pistons, and then the next one is going to be the BPS crankshaft of type BPS crankshaft. And then another thing we need to change is the torque. So we need to change this to base torque to better reflect what it is. And then because we have the front brakes, rear brakes, tires, then we have the power, so we need to remove these ones. So power, the brakes, and the tires, we no longer need those. And then we need to add the multipliers, so we're going to add more variables. This one we're going to call this pistons. This is going to be of type, oh, before we do that, we need to add the other structures as well. Actually forgot, BPS tires and the BPS brakes. Change the BPS tires to be of type BPS tires. And then the next variable is the BPS brakes. Change this to be of type BPS brakes. Another variable. This one is of type BPS boost. And then change it to BPS boost. And then now we need to add the multipliers. So the first one is the pistons. This one is of type float. New variable is the crankshaft, also of type float. Another variable, this is going to be the, we'll call it the front tires multiplier, and then the next one is going to be the rear tires multiplier, and then yet again we have the front brakes multiplier, and then the rear brakes multiplier, and then the next one is going to be the boost consumption rate. After that is the boost refill rate, and then the next one is going to be the boost decrease delay. The next one is going to be the boost refill delay, and then the last one after that is going to be the boost max fuel. And then we need to add the tier variables. So it's going to be tier 1. This is going to be of type boolean. Then we're going to have a tier 2. So that's what we're going to use to determine on which car to apply the tier multipliers, because we're going to tell the code when we open the specific widget to check what tier the current selected car is, and then we'll then use that to determine what the multiplier should be or should not be. And then that should be it. If there's anything that I've missed, I'll come back and fill it in later. But we have front brakes. I'm gonna save that. Then at the game instance, I'm gonna compile, save. We need to fill in the new added information. So by the BPS vehicles, going to go down. So here are the new variables, the BPS systems. So they all by default set to false. That's fine. The pistons, we just set all of this to 1 by default. Then the multipliers, all the multipliers need to be 1. And then you can just randomly select. I think I'm gonna make this a T2 car. Then the boost max fuel, I'm gonna set this to 100. And then we're going to set the consumption rate to 2, the refill rate to 1.5, set the decrease delay to 0.1, and then the refill delay to say about 0.4, just to test out the values. You can then later on go and fine tune these. I'm just going to use this now for the tutorial. And then let's just set this for all the cars as well. Compile, save, and then what we're going to do is we're going to test out to see if also this is something that's going to happen wherever your blueprint structures are. When you add new things, it's going to expand itself to reflect all of that. You just need to go back in and then just say to hide unconnected. And then we need to go check out, we need to go test out to see if our solution for the spawning was correct. But also we need to go and wipe any information about the blueprint structure because we added new variables. So we need to start off from a clean slate. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to content, maps, head over to the main menu, open up the main menu level. And then in the active blueprint, what we're going to do is on the event begin play. After we load the garage cars, we're going to drag off and then we're going to delete game from slot. And then the slots we're looking for is one, the money, Control D. Second one is the strut for the BPS vehicles. The next one is the owned cars. And then I think those are the 3 we made use of up to this point. So we're gonna run the level so that we can delete the save files. So just run the level real quick. It's opened. Just gonna quit. And then we're gonna disconnect after the load garage cars, compile, save all. And then if we run this again, we don't have a car. We hit play, we get taken. Oh yes, I forgot one other one that we were supposed to delete as well. I forgot about this one. It is the porn save file. That's the one we forgot to run as well. Okay, so now everything should be cleared. So we failed to spawn an actor, disconnect that, and then run it again, play. Okay, so now we're back in the dealership. So now we can select one of the cars, go with this one, say yes. Okay, the car has spawned in, we've taken possession of it, so the code still works. So we're going to exit, close that, run the code, the car spawns in, we hit play, and well, this one didn't work. Okay, so I found out what the problem was. Apparently when I was spawning in, it was spawning in a sphere as well. So what I went to go do is I just removed the actor from the level in the workshop, and then I put it back, and then I saved, and then I ran the code again. So then the corresponding, and we no longer have that sphere that popped up there. So that was the problem. I don't know where that sphere came from, but for some reason it was in the level. So now with that done, the code seems to work. No longer have any problems. And we have added the new variables that we need for the upgrade system. So that brings us to the end of this video. And then in the next one, we are going to create the widgets, and then we'll see how far we get with that. And depending on how far we get, the video after that will then be us adding functionality to the widgets so that we can test and see if the new upgrade system works. But that's it for now, and until the next video.